This is Javed sir and welcome to my channel Cryptic Technologies Private Limited. In this video I am going to teach you data types, variables and constant. For better understanding of these topics, let us take an example. Okay, so I will explain you with the help of example. So in this example, what we are going to do, we are going to store the ID of the student in the memory, and then we will display it on the screen. So I'm writing a simple program. Write a C program to store the ID of a student and display it. Okay, so I'm writing a simple example in which we are going to store the ID of a student in the memory first, and then we will retrieve the data from the memory and we will display it on the output screen. For doing this, we need three things. That is, first of all, we need the data, that is the ID of the student. Then we need the memory to store the data, and finally we want to print it. Okay, how we can do this? Hash include stdio.h what main. Okay, so first of all we will declare a variable of type integer id and we will store the id. Okay, so this is nothing but it is the id of the student. This is the memory in which we want to store this id, and int is nothing but it is the type of the memory. Okay, so we have reserved the memory of type integer and store the data into it. Okay, now we want to display it. Okay, so we want to print it with the help of printf function. Okay, so in this way, if you are thinking that we will print the id in this way with the help of printf function, so it will not work. Okay, to print this id we need to give the format specifier, and which can be given in this way. So we have to give the format specifier. Okay, sorry, and then we can write in this way we can. Okay, so this is the simple example in which we have stored the ID of the student and then we have just printed. Let's see how the output will appear. Okay, so start the terminal, compile the program, okay, let's see errors in the program. No error. Run it. See, this is the output of the program and it is printing the ID of the student, but what exactly is this? Is it the ID of the student? How we will come to know that it is the ID of the student? So we want output in proper format. We want output student ID is, or the ID of the student is 111 in this way. Okay, so for this what we want to do, just we need to put the message here, student ID is, or simply student ID. Okay, save it, again compile it and run it. See, the output is coming in the proper format. Okay, so in this way we can use variables, data types and constants. Now that we have studied the data type with the help of the example, Now I'm going to define what exactly data type is. Okay, so data types. So data type is a reserved word or a keyword that indicates the type of data. So a data type is nothing but it is a word, okay, or we can also say that it is a keyword that indicates the type of the data. It means that it shows us what type of data we are dealing with. Okay, now there are three different types of data types in C language. Okay, and what are they? First is predefined data type, user defined data type, and the third one is derived data type. Okay, so these are the three types of data types in C language. Okay, so the first one is predefined. It means that Dennis Ritchie has already defined lots of data type in it, so we are going to use it directly. We don't need to define it. Then second is user defined data type. It means that first we have to define our own data type and then we can use it. And the third type is derived data type. So it can be derived either from predefined data type or from user defined data type. Okay, so these are the three categories of data type. Okay, for now we are going to study predefined data type in detail. Okay, so predefined data type. To study predefined data type, we have to consider this table, that is data type, then size, and last format specifier. Okay, so this thing we have to consider: data type, how many data types are there, and what are the size of the data type, and the format specifier used to read or write the data. Okay, the first one is void. Void means nothing, means no data type, so it will going to take 0 byte of memory. And format specifier is nothing because void itself means nothing. Okay, then the next one is char, for reading and writing character type of data. Single character if you want to read, then we can use char type. It will take 1 byte of memory. And format specifier is %c. Okay, so %c indicates that the type of the data is char or character. Next data type is int, for integer. It will going to take 2 bytes of memory, and the format specifier would be %i, or it can be %d. Okay, so if we have a integer type of data, then we can use int data type to indicate it, and for reading and writing integer type of data, we can use the format specifier %i or %c. Okay, suppose we have a large amount of data, means range of the integer is larger than the int, then we have next long. It will take 4 bytes of memory, and the format specifier would be percent %ld long decimal. Okay, so the range of the data type is larger than integer. Okay, both the data type integer and long will indicate the same type of data, like numeric data, but the range would be larger than integer. Okay, then for floating point we have float type of data. It will also going to take 4 bytes of memory, and the format specifier would be %f. It will store decimal data with decimal point. Okay, but the range is less, and if we have longer range, then we have a double type of data. Okay, which is going to take 8 bytes of memory, and format specifier would be %f. So these are the data types, different types of data types which we can use in our program. Okay, now we are going to study a variable, what exactly variable is. So next topic is variable. Okay, so what is a variable? So I'm going to define it. So a variable is the name of the memory. Okay, in C language variable is nothing but it is the name of the memory. It is used to store different types of data. Okay, so variable is nothing but it is the name of the memory, and in memory we can store data, so we can store different type of data. Okay, so whenever a variable is created, space is reserved according to the data type. Okay, so whenever we are going to create a variable, then it will reserve memory space in the reserve the memory. Okay, and this memory will be off depending on the type of the data. Okay, a variable can be created by using the general form. So there is a syntax for creating a variable. Okay, first we need to give the data type one blank space, then the variable name equals to data, then comma, then second variable, third variable, and so on. So this is the rule or syntax for creating data, for creating variables in C language. Okay, so data type can be one of these. Okay, so it indicates what type of variable we are going to create. Then we have to give the name of the variable. Name can be any valid identifier. It is a user defined identifier, so user can give it according to the requirement or whatever he or she wish to give the name. Okay, and finally we have to give the data. Okay, so this data must be according to the type. Okay, so if it is integer, then we have to give integer. If it is character, then we have to give character. Okay, for example, suppose we have to give the type integer, then integer suppose count equals to 0. In this way we can create a variable. So it indicates that the integer is the data type, count is the name of the variable, and 0 is the data. Okay, then if we want to store double type of data, then in this way we can store double type of data. Okay, so double is nothing but it is the data type. Okay, per is nothing but it is the name of the variable, and the data would be 0.0. Okay, in this way we can create a variable and we can assign different data to it. Okay, so this is variable. Now let's move on to the examples. Now we are going to see different examples on it. We have studied data types, format specifier, and variable. Now we can write different example of these. Okay, so let's take example. Okay, write a C program to store percentage of student in the memory and display it. Okay, so we are going to write a simple program. In this program we can reserve the memory and we are going to store the percentage into it. Okay, so let's see how we can write this program. Hash include stdio.h void main. Okay, now we want to store the percentage of the student. Okay, so suppose we have a student who's having 65.65, for example, this percentage, and we want to store it in the memory. Then first we need to reserve the memory. So we can reserve the memory with the help of either we can use float or we can use double. Okay, so I'm going to use double as a data type. Per is the name of the variable and data would be 65.56, for example. So in this way we can create a simple variable and we can store percentage of a student, and finally we need to print it. Okay, so we are going to print it, so we can give the message student percentage. Now note that we have used double data type, so for printing double type of data we need format specifier %lf. Okay, and the value of the variable in this way. So in this way we can simply create the memory, store the percentage, and we can display it. Okay, now let's run it, compile it, and run it. Okay, so see, this is the output of the program which shows us the student percentage. Okay, now suppose let's take another example. In this example we are going to write we are going to store a single character in the memory and display it. Okay, so write a C program to store single character in the memory and display it. So now we can write a single character. So hash include stdio.h void main starting brace ending brace. Now we want to store a single character. For example, I want to store a single character, that is A. I want to store a in the memory, then we need a char type of data type, or we need a char type of variable. Okay, so I'm creating a char type of variable of name ch, and I want to store capital A into it. Okay, and I want to print it, so we can print it in this way. Single character. Okay, character type of data can be printed with the help of format specifier %c \n and the value of ch. In this way we have to print. Okay, but before running this, let me clear one point. As you know that we want to read a single character, or we want to store a single character in the memory, and we have done in this way, so it is not the proper way, because see, ch is a variable, so C compiler treat ch as a variable, and a is data, but C compiler will not treat it as data, it will treat it as a variable, because see, both are on in the same way. So we want that C compiler will treat it as a character type of data, then we need to give it in single quotation mark, then only it will treat it as a character, otherwise it will treat it as a variable. So this is the correct example. Okay, so save it and again compile it and run it. See, it is running properly. What happened if I remove this single quotation? Okay, so if I remove this single quotation, then compiler will generate an error. Okay, see here, a undeclare here. Okay, so undeclare identifier. So always remember one thing, that we need to give character type of data in single quotation mark. Okay, okay, and the last but not the least, now next program, write a C program to store a single string in the memory and display it. Now I want to store a single string. So for storing string, we have not seen any data type. Okay, if you remember, if you recall the data type, that we have studied only character, and for a string, C does not have any data type to store string type of data, so we have to manage it. So we can manage it with the help of char only. Okay, so in this way, suppose char str. Okay, suppose if I create the variable in this way, then it will store only a single character. Okay, but I want to store a string. For example, I want to store a single string, that is Cryptic technologies. Okay, I want to store this string. Okay, tell me whether this string will be stored in str. If you are thinking that yes, it will store this string, then probably you are thinking in a wrong direction, because str is nothing but it is a variable of type char, and it can store only single character, not multiple characters. But we want to store multiple character, then we need to create an array of it. Okay, and it can be done in this way. Okay, now it is possible to store multiple character into it. Okay, so it is nothing but it is character array. Okay, so character array we are going to study in detail afterwards. Okay, now I am just going to use it. So now I am going to print it. So printf, so I can write the message string is %s. Okay, so %s is used to print the string, and which string? This str. Okay, so in this way, save it and again clear, compile it and run it. See the output, you can see the output. Okay, so it's coming in a proper format. Okay, so in this way we can read a different type, in this way we can store different type of data, we can create different types of variables, and we can store different types of data into it. But remember one thing, that you need to understood that the if we are having a string type of data, then we need a string data type. If we have integer type of data, then we want integer variable. If we have a float type of data, then we need a float type of variable. Okay, so in this way we can store different type of data in the memory, and we can print it on the screen. Okay.